On to our big spotlight for this evening. Authorities across the world have been pushed into action after a leak of 11 million confidential documents reveal how tax havens are used to hide wealth. The documents were leaked from the secretive firm in Panama, Mossack Fonseca. They show how the company has helped some clients launder money, dodge sanctions and avoid tax. 12 current or former heads of state and at least 60 people linked to current or former world leaders have been named in these files. In fact, these files reveal a suspected billion-dollar money laundering ring involving close associates of Russian President Vladimir Putin. The spokesperson for Russia's Vladimir Putin says evidence was concocted and that Mr. Putin is the target of disinformation. Meanwhile, Iceland's prime minister is also shown to have had an undeclared interest linked to his wife's wealth. Also mentioned are the brother-in-law of China's President Xi Jinping, Ukraine's president, Argentina's president, and the late father of UK Prime Minister David Cameron. Meanwhile, closer home, Hussein Nawaz Sharif, the son of Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, and one of the three siblings are also shown to own real estate through offshore entities. But however, in a statement, they said that there is nothing wrong with it. Meanwhile, newspaper Indian Express reports that the leaked list features over 500 Indians linked to offshore firms, and it includes film stars like Amitabh Bachchan and her daughter-in-law Aishwarya Rai Bachchan. Indian Express also states that KP Singh acquired a company in British Virgin Islands and that the documents lists KP Singh, his wife, son, daughter and their family as shareholders. But KP Singh says that the remittance of money is in line with the RBI guidelines and was undertaken through authorized dealers and that it never exceeded the limits. The leaked documents also include Onkar Kambar, the chairman of Apollo Tyres, and family members. Indian Express reports that they floated an offshore entity called JNS Systems Corporation in 2010 and two trusts in 2014. But Apollo Tyres spokesperson says that any investment abroad that the Kanwar family may have made is perfectly in due compliance with the Indian laws. Also, India Bulls, that is controlled by Samir Gehlot, features in that list. Samir Gehlot Family Trust owns Calais Infra, which in turn owns Clivedale Overseas in the Bahamas. Samir Gehlot, on his part, says that all the details of Clivedale Overseas are duly disclosed to the Reserve Bank of India and the investments in various subsidiaries in UK or Jersey are duly disclosed to the RBI as well. Earlier in the evening, to understand the legal implications of this, I caught up with Supreme Court advocate on the big Panama leaks. The focus of the conversation was on the challenges regulating a global financial economy where national boundaries, remember, are increasingly becoming more and more porous and movement of funds from one part of the world to the other perhaps has never been this easy. In such an environment, how can the government be effective? Listen in to what he had to tell me.
We always knew that apart from individual accounts in these foreign banks, like the HSBC accounts or the Liechtenstein accounts, one other major source of foreign assets, owning foreign assets, is through companies which are registered in tax havens. Therefore, soon after this government had come and this SIT had been formed on black money, I had written to the SIT and to the Prime Minister that, look, there are two major legalized instruments available in India for laundering illicit money from abroad. One is this device called participatory notes, by which anonymous holders of participatory notes can invest any amount of money in the Indian stock market. The other is this device of investments or FDI from companies registered in tax havens, where the identity of the beneficial owners of these companies is not known.
Revealed.
So I had said that you must ensure that these do not remain anonymous, and whoever invests in India has to disclose who are the beneficial owners of these companies and who are the holders of these participatory notes. Unfortunately, that has not been done. But anyway, one good thing that was done was that in this black money law which was brought by Mr. Jaitley, there is a provision that if you don't disclose these assets, of course they have in a way given that amnesty scheme, allowing people who have been holding this illicit money to come and disclose, after which it will be legalized. But they have also said that if you don't disclose within those few months window which was given, then your accounts will be deemed to be illicit money and you will be liable for prosecution.
So by that logic, in the context of this new black money law, how do you see these, at least it is being alleged that these disclosures have not been made. But mind you, the companies or the individuals who've been named in the report have actually come out and said that, we've been filing our returns and everybody has been in the know. So purely from the new black money law and this provision that you're talking about, if the disclosures have not been made, then in that case, it will be construed as ill-gotten.
Yes. Then it's a crime. If you hold any assets, including shares in these kinds of companies, and you are the beneficial owners of some of these companies, and you have not disclosed this by now under the new black money law, then that would be treated to be an offense for which you can be jailed for 1 to 7 years, etc. So now would the real test of the resolve, of the political resolve of this government would arise as to whether they seriously go after the persons who are found to own these companies and these assets in these foreign companies, if they have not disclosed this to the authorities in the income tax disclosure.
Right. So specifically with respect to the liberalized remittances scheme, that the RBI had introduced in 2004, and then again in 2011, where the RBI did allow individuals to go and even invest in joint ventures and subsidiaries over there. So, I mean, purely, from a technical perspective, there is at least legally nothing wrong if you were to go and invest in these sort of tax havens, but it's only if you would have done it pre-2004, or if you would have, or if you would have gone and invested in some or acquired some company over there pre-2011 when the RBI came out with a clarificatory note. So in that sense, purely investing is not an offense as such.
No, investing is not an offense so long as you disclose the income arising out of those assets, and so long as you disclose those assets, investment is fine. You see, what gives rise to the suspicion that this is illicit money is that it is invested in secret accounts in tax havens. Now, why would a person invest in secret accounts in tax havens if his money is totally legitimate and taxes have been paid on that? Normally, a person would not do that if his money is totally legitimate. This kind of investment in secret accounts, etc., is usually undertaken when the money is not really legal. And there may be all kinds of illegal money involved here. It could be money which has been siphoned out of companies by under-invoicing, over-invoicing, etc., which is one of the ways of sort of laundering money and generating black money, perhaps the most significant way. It could also be, in some cases of public servants, money which they have received as kickbacks or bribes, etc. So therefore, first the government needs to undertake a proper investigation to find out. First, they need to know whether they had disclosed these accounts under the new law. If they had not, then they are liable for prosecution. And the government can use the UN Convention Against Corruption to approach these countries like Panama, etc., to get information about these accounts.
The FM actually, in fact, today said soon after these disclosures were made in a statement that there is a lot of transparency now in the world, not, which was missing in the past. But since the G20 declaration happened in 2009, there are enough reports that have said that offshore accounts have actually, the wealth going there has actually increased by almost 20%. So in that sense, while world leaders make promises on one hand, do you still feel that this exposes and reveals the challenges to regulate a global financial economy?
No, you see, unfortunately, the government has been producing a red herring before us by talking about the double taxation treaties as a way of getting this information. Actually, it's much easier to use the UN Convention Against Corruption by saying that prima facie this is illicit money, that this is money of a crime, and therefore under the UN Convention Against Corruption, please supply this information. And there you would not also be bound by all these conditions of secrecy which are routinely trotted out by using the double taxation avoidance treaties, etc. So there should be transparency about these things. All the time today the Reserve Bank is also using this fiduciary relationship and secrecy by saying that information about defaulters of bank dues should not be disclosed to the people because this is fiduciary relationship, etc. One of the major reasons why all this has been happening is because the government has been refusing to make all the information, even information that it gets transparent. Even information about the HSBC bank holders was not revealed by the government, nor was it
But the
revealed
FM made a statement on the floor of the House saying that, till the time they have got absolutely incontrovertible proof against those individuals, revealing their names would certainly mar, their their
can
image.
reveal it by saying that, look.
And that's a fair point to say. I mean, let's have incontrovertible, facts, and then we shall do it.
It's like this. Today, the Reserve Bank says that they won't reveal information about defaulters till they are proved to be willful defaulters. Why shouldn't the people of this country who own this money, which is invested in these public sector banks, not know about defaulters, people who have taken money from these banks and thereafter defaulted? Why should they be willful defaulters before this information is revealed to the people? And actually with this kind of unnecessary secrecy, a lot of unnecessary loans have been given repeatedly to people who have been defaulters earlier. Because people have not come to know that these people are defaulters and they are being now given loan by some other bank, etc.
Just a couple of last things then, Mr. Bhushan. How do you look at the government's response so far? They've, as I've said, they've immediately come in, made an announcement, made a statement. They've said that they have formed a multi-pronged agency and that's going to look into this. So in that sense, I mean, they have shown a certain amount of alacrity when it comes to dealing with this issue.
Well, statements are not enough. We have seen statements earlier also which have not really turned out to be worth anything. For example, for a long time after the HSBC list came, etc., there was no action being taken by the government, nor was the list being disclosed to the people. And some cock and bull story was being given that, look, it has been received by way of double taxation treaty, therefore this information can't be revealed, etc., etc. Eventually some action was perhaps taken only after the SIT was formed. So let us first have full information about this. Let us also know how the government is planning to proceed to get this information from these tax havens about these companies, etc. Let us also know who are the persons amongst these who have disclosed to the government under the voluntary disclosure scheme, etc. Let the people be told these facts. Then only can we believe that the government is somewhat serious.
So what are the key immediate to-do lists, if there were 2 or 3 of the immediate things that the government needs to do?
Number one, they must reveal the names of these, full names of the companies as available and the directors of these companies. Number two, which of these people had made disclosures. Number three, what is the action that the government is taking by way of getting full information about these companies from these tax havens, etc. These are the first 3 things.
Finally, sir, I come back to my original point that I was trying to make, the challenges of regulating a global financial economy. Not just India, countries around the world are fighting, combating this issue. So in that sense, I mean, for a developing country like India, how important does it become then to quickly, solve and plug these loopholes? Because even if you look at the RBI rules, that is what many commentators are saying today. It boils down to the interpretation of the RBI rules. One says, you cannot invest directly in a company. The other says, no, you cannot start a company or incorporate a company on your. So in that sense, how important it is to come up with laws that are unambiguous?
No, it's very important to have laws which are unambiguous. It's even more important to have laws which foreclose the possibility of this kind of money laundering, etc. As I said, you should have had a law which says that, number one, anonymous instruments in India will not be allowed. Number two, undisclosed assets found abroad of anybody shall be deemed to be proceeds of crime and shall be liable to be confiscated and the person prosecuted, because then you can use the UN Convention Against Corruption straight away and obtain information from those countries about those assets.
the challenges of regulating the global financial economy.